In today's world, it feels like everything's just shouting for our attention, right? Social media,
Hmm.
expectations, and it's just constant noise.
Hmm.
How do you actually cut through that? How do you focus and, make real progress on what matters to you? That's what we're digging into today. There's this phrase, it's in Spanish, concentrate en ti hasta que ganes, which translates basically to focus on yourself until you win. But honestly, it's way more than just a catchy phrase. It's not just like a poster slogan. It feels like a real philosophy, almost a strategy for, well, for winning at life, both personally and professionally. So our deep dive today is all about unpacking that. What does it really mean? And more importantly, how can you actually use it?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's really our mission here, isn't it? To kind of break down this idea as a call to real autonomy, to building resilience and having this like unwavering dedication to your own goals. It flips the script, suggesting that the real victory, the true win, it's forged inside you, not grabbed from outside. And we're going to explore exactly what that internal work looks like for you and how you build that kind of strength.
Okay, let's unpack this then. Focus on yourself. At its heart, what is this philosophy really asking us to do? Because it could mean a lot of things. Where does this unbreakable intensity you mention, where does it point us?
Well, fundamentally, it's asking for a pretty radical shift inward. It's about turning your focus, yeah, with that intensity onto your own being,
Yeah.
your skills, your potential, your unique path. And the key thing, I think, the reason it's so powerful is that it's not just about trying harder. It's about recalibrating where your energy goes.
Hmm.
When you genuinely focus on you, you're not just honing skills you know you have. You actually start discovering these latent talents, things you didn't even realize were there, because you're finally not trying to squeeze into someone else's mold, you know? It's like uncovering a superpower you only find when you stop performing for others.
That's really interesting. So unlocking what's already inside rather than just chasing external validation. What are some of the other sort of core objectives here?
Exactly. Another big one is fostering internal resilience. This philosophy really pushes you to build that mental toughness so you don't just like get over obstacles, but you actually learn from failure. You persist. Think of it as building an internal shock absorber. Then there's the huge benefit of reducing your dependence on external approval. That's massive. It frees you from that constant, exhausting need for validation, right? You find satisfaction in your own progress. It shifts your whole sense of control inward. It also naturally leads to optimizing how you use your time and energy. I mean, if you're truly focused on your goals, you just stop pouring energy into things that don't serve them. It simplifies things. And finally, it really helps cultivate a growth mindset. Every challenge becomes not a disaster, but an opportunity, a chance to learn, to adapt, to improve. And what's really fascinating is how all these pieces, they kind of lock together, right? They build this solid foundation of self-reliance. You get this internal compass that stops you being pushed around by, external winds.
An internal compass, I like that. But okay, it sounds great. But how do we actually use it? How do
Yeah.
we steer by it? What are the concrete steps? The sources talk about metas, goals. How do we translate this idea into actual tangible actions?
Yeah, it's interesting how it then breaks down into these really practical goals, these metas, which are totally aligned with that self-concentration idea. These aren't just vague wishes, they're like actual blueprints. For instance, achieving mastery in a key skill. Maybe you decide, right, I'm going to dedicate myself to learning French or getting really good at coding or improving my negotiation skills. That's a concrete meta. Or it could be about consistency and personal discipline, setting up and sticking to productive routines, exercise, reading, meditation, whatever works for you, but doing it day in, day out. And this also involves developing emotional independence. That's a big one. Being able to stay focused, stay motivated, whether people are praising you or criticizing you, just being steady, and crucially, celebrating your own milestones. Really stopping to acknowledge your progress, even the small steps, using that as fuel.
And finally, it talks about creating a supportive environment. Actively getting rid of distractions, yeah, but also surrounding yourself with people and resources that actually help your focus, not drain it.
Which raises that important question, doesn't it? Once we get the what, how do we actually commit? How do we make this happen systematically? Because this philosophy, it really demands active, conscious effort across, well, we can think of them as 7 core areas. The first is deep self-knowledge. You can't focus effectively if you don't know what you're focusing on, right? So it starts with honest introspection. What are your real passions, your strengths? And yeah, your weaknesses too. What are your core values? You got to ask, what truly drives me? What does winning actually mean to me in a way that brings genuine satisfaction? Second, once you have that self-knowledge, it comes clear and meaningful goal setting. Using that SMART framework is helpful. Specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, time-bound. But the layer underneath that is crucial. These goals have to resonate with you deeply. emotionally, intellectually. Because those goals, they're your anchors. If they don't really mean something to you, your focus will drift the moment things get tough.
Okay, but let's be real here. The world seems almost designed to pull us off course. Notifications, emails, social media, it's relentless. How do we realistically protect our focus? How do we shield ourselves from that constant barrage, especially when some distractions are actually part of our jobs or social lives?
That's number 3, and it's critical. Shielding against distractions. It's about putting practical, deliberate systems in place. It goes beyond just, turning off alerts. It's about actively curating your environment, both digital and physical. It means consciously limiting time on feeds that don't serve your goals. It means learning to say no, a firm no, to things that pull you away from your priorities. And yet creating a physical workspace where you can actually think without interruptions. It's like building a fortress for your attention. Fourth, and this often gets missed, cultivating discipline and consistency. This isn't just about willpower. It's about building a positive feedback loop in your brain. Every time you do that small thing, even when you don't feel like it, you're reinforcing a message to yourself. I show up. I follow through. That internal validation, that's what builds real momentum, becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy almost. Fifth, and this is huge, energy management. Not just time management. We obsess about time, but it's the quality of your energy that dictates focus. You absolutely have to prioritize sleep, good nutrition, exercise.
Your brain and body need to be in optimal shape. You can't sustain deep concentration if you're running on empty. It's like trying to run a high-performance car on bad fuel. Just won't work well. Sixth is constant learning and adaptation. The path is almost never a straight line, right? The sources really emphasize this. You have to be willing, actually eager, to learn from mistakes, to adjust your strategy when something isn't working, to pick up new skills as you go. Being flexible, being adaptable, that's just as vital as perseverance. Knowing when and how to pivot keeps you moving forward, even if the original plan hits a snag. And finally, number 7, celebrating progress, not just the final result. This isn't fluff. It's essential for staying motivated long term. When you acknowledge those small wins, those steps forward, it boosts your morale, yes, but it also reinforces your belief in the process and in yourself. It fuels that ongoing concentration. It's like training your brain. You reward the effort, the showing up, not just the finish line way off in the distance.
This all sounds incredibly powerful, truly, but putting myself in the listener's shoes, trying to actually do this, I can already see some major hurdles. What are the the really significant challenges people are likely to encounter when they try to embrace this intense self-focus?
Well, absolutely. It's definitely not easy. One of the biggest is social pressure. We're wired to belong, right? And that constant comparison, even if it's subconscious, it could seriously derail you. You start second-guessing your path simply because it looks different. Then there's the fear of failure. It looms large. When you focus only on yourself, you're taking full responsibility for the outcome. That's heavy. And that fear can be paralyzing. We read about people, entrepreneurs, for example, with brilliant ideas who just couldn't execute because that weight of responsibility was too much. This philosophy demands you face that fear. And like you said earlier, constant distraction is just a monumental challenge in our modern world. Information overload, endless stimuli. Sustained attention is incredibly hard work. You're literally battling the environment sometimes. Then there's the internal battle, lack of self-discipline. This whole approach requires daily commitment, real willpower to push past procrastination, to resist temptations. It's easy to start strong, harder to maintain. And finally, something that's maybe less talked about, the loneliness of the path.
Sometimes focusing intensely inward means walking a road others don't get or don't support, and that can feel pretty isolating at times. But if we connect this back to the bigger picture, overcoming these specific challenges, it does more than just help you focus better. It actually forges a stronger, more resilient character overall. Tackling these struggles is what builds the kind of person who's prepared for pretty much any challenge down the line. You become less easily swayed.
So wrapping up our deep dive here, concentrate en ti hasta que ganes. Focus on yourself until you win. It really boils down to an invitation, doesn't it? An invitation to personal mastery. It's this powerful reminder that your greatest resource, your biggest asset, it's always you. Your mind, your determination, your ability to learn and keep going. It's about becoming fundamentally self-reliant.
Exactly. And by really embracing this, you're not just inching closer to whatever goal you've set. You're building this incredibly solid foundation, a foundation of self-dependence, of inner strength that's going to benefit you in every part of your life. Long after you've achieved the initial win, the victory, seen this way, it isn't just the outcome. It's the person you become through that whole process, through the focus, the dedication. It's a journey of discovering yourself and constantly overcoming.
So as you, our listener, reflect on all this, maybe ask yourself, what does winning really mean for you in this context? Going beyond maybe the first goals that come to mind. How might truly focusing on your inner world, on your own growth, actually transform your outer experiences in ways you maybe haven't even considered yet?